Well, I believe it is the top of the hour. Bob, do you want to get started?
Yeah, I think we probably better. These guys are chomping at the bit to get going, so we better do it.
Well, welcome everybody to our Saturday morning webinar. And we are doing our leadership series this morning, our once in a month webinar to talk about becoming a leader. And we're doing the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And if you look at the subtitle, it says How Great Leaders Inspire Everyone to Take Action. And, you know, when many of us start a networking business, we don't consider ourselves leaders. But that is not the truth. We are leaders. And even if you are not in a network marketing business or any type of business, still, we are all leaders in our community, with our families, with our friends. And this book really talks about helping others take action and helping ourselves really take action to get into that place of leadership. And this section that we're going to talk about today really is not about the why. It's a kind of a precursor to the why. We're talking about a world that doesn't start with why, and some of the things in that world, which, you know, really need to be taken a good look at. So, Bob, why don't you start with our first thing that does not start with why?
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, a lot of what we read and study in Simon Sinek's book, they're things that probably most of us already know, you know, things that we've figured out in life anyway, but sometimes you just need to hear things mirrored back to you. It's like, oh yeah, I know that, but I forgot it or whatever. But put on your thinking caps for just a minute, you guys. I'm going to share just a really quick little story. And I want you to, in your own mind, tell me who I'm talking about here. On a cold January day, a 43-year-old man was sworn in as chief executive of his country. By his side stood his predecessor, a famous general, who 15 years earlier had commanded his nation's armed forces in a war that resulted in the defeat of Germany. The young leader was raised in the Roman Catholic faith. He spent the next 5 hours celebrating parades in his honor and stayed up celebrating until 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, when I read that, and I think everybody on this call for the most part is old enough to remember John Kennedy, and that's exactly who I thought of when I read this. But that was an assumption on my part, because I didn't know the date. Because the date that this occurred was January 30th, 1933, and the individual was Adolf Hitler. Now, I made an assumption when I read that was going to be John Kennedy. Now, I was just a kid when John Kennedy was assassinated, but I still remember it. I was in 6th grade, I think, when that took place. But in this life, the point being that in this life, in business, in personal relationships, etc., behavior is affected by our perceived truth, by the assumptions that we make. And we make decisions based on what we think we know, right? Like the flat earth theory, you know, it's for the longest time, everyone assumed that the earth was flat. And the farther you went out, if you went too far, you were going to go right off the edge. Well, it dampened, it kept things at bay. But once it became common knowledge that the earth was not flat, that the earth was round, it changed everything. That's when exploration began. That's when people started going and trying to find and all of those kinds of things. The correction of that false assumption moved the human race forward like crazy, right? There was an assumption, correction was made, everything changed. Anyway, Judy, making educated decisions, what do you think?
Yeah, it is so true. And just like this picture shows, you know, many years ago, in the 1400s, it was believed that the earth was flat, and the closer you got to the edge, the more danger you were in because you were going to, um, you were going to fall off. And it wasn't until Christopher Columbus came back and told everyone that the world was not flat that it really moved the whole world forward, and the economy changed, the beliefs changed, and trade changed. And we make decisions based on uh, past history. We make educated decisions, but sometimes some of those decisions are false. Sometimes we have good outcomes, and sometimes it's just not the best outcomes. And I think of, even when I am talking to a customer, I have a precise system, right? That I know that I'm going to connect with a customer, send them a video, follow up with them from the video, ask them how much they liked it, and move them forward to the sell. So I'm assuming that it's going to go into a positive direction, but it really doesn't always happen. So we're always trying to get more data and more input, and it doesn't always help, because there, around all of that thinking, there really are flawed assumptions.
Yeah, there are. And sometimes in life, and everyone on this webinar understands this clearly, sometimes we will make a false assumption. This is what we think is really happening, and we'll actually get a good result. But you can't repeat that because it's predicated on a lack of truth, if you will, when we make those kinds of false assumptions. So you have to ask yourself, how do you ensure that the decisions that you make in this life are going to yield the best results? I mean, whether it's with your family or with your business, whatever it is, logic dictates that you need more info, right? You need more data. That it's just logical that if you want to make a good, clean decision, you need to know the facts. But more data doesn't always help, especially if a flawed assumption set the whole process in motion in the first place. This is Simon Sinek's thought, that just because you've got more data, if it's based on a false assumption, or you've got something wrong to start with, it's not going to take you where you want to go. It just isn't. I think too, Judy, if you will, that for a lot of us, we make decisions that are not necessarily based on good advice or data. We just kind of go with our gut feeling about things. There's kind of this dance between gut and rational decision making, and that's how we conduct business and even conduct our lives for the most part. A lot of us, we just go with our gut. Doesn't always take us where we want to go, though. We can get ourselves in a lot of trouble in a hurry.
That's so true. And a lot of this depends on our perception. So, you may look at this picture and, really, what do you see? Do you see a man playing a saxophone, or do you see the face of a woman? It can be the way you look at things. And really, the automakers back um, many years ago, when they were first creating those the automatic assembly lines, really had a perception. And the executives at Ford Motor actually had a perception that at the end of the manufacturing line, you needed to make some minor adjustments. It just was what they did. And so they picked the last person in line had a hammer. And he made sure that those doors were closing right. And so the perception was that there was always going to be a problem at the end of the assembly line. Well, these car executives actually went to Japan and looked at their assembly line and what they were doing. And you know what? There wasn't a hammer at the end of the assembly line. And the executive said, well, how can you do this? Because you know that you're going to have a problem at the end. So, you have to prepare for that. And their response was that, they didn't need a hammer because they made sure it fit when they designed it. And so they had a completely different perception, and that perception created an entirely different outcome.
It's an awesome story. You can just see the guy with the rubber mallet in his hand having to tap those doors to try to get them lined up. And the other process where they absolutely know those doors are going to fit because they designed it so that it would fit. I love something that Simon Sinek said in his book. He said, when faced with the result that doesn't go according to plan, and this happens to all of us, right? A series of perfectly effective short-term tactics are used until the desired outcome is achieved. We all know that. If we get to the end of something that's not quite right, we've got all these little tactics to make it work right. But how structurally sound are those solutions? He says that so many organizations function in a world of tangible goals and the mallets to achieve them. In other words, we know what the goal is, but we've got to have that rubber mallet so we can adjust when we're done. The one that achieves more, the ones that get more out of fewer people and fewer resources, the ones with an outsized amount of influence, build products and companies and recruit people that all fit based on the original intention. Yeah, great leaders understand the value in the things we cannot see. And I think that's so important, based on the original intention. And so we look at our own world that we live in. What is our original intention? And that's where we kind of come back to that whole concept of why, right, Judy? Why are we doing the things we do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what we see in retail today and in many sales scenarios really is manipulation versus the why, the inspiration. And this is done in so many situations. Simon Sinek calls it the carrot and the stick, right? And we want to go through all these different ways and see if you can identify some things you've purchased or some ads you've seen that have these 6 different items here. So Bob,
it's so true, Judy. The manipulation versus inspiration I think this is really important for us to stop and think about this for a minute. I've never seen more manipulation than I've seen in the last few months in politics. Somebody's always saying, well, if you do this or if you do that, and I mean, it's back and forth. But in business, price, so you stop and think about it. Price is a highly effective form of manipulation, isn't it? I remember many, many years ago, I worked for one of my uncles. He had a lumber yard, and Uncle Ray, he was a really great guy, and he had this lumber yard. And I remember him talking to me one time about the price that he had on some tools that he sold, power tools, in his store. And he made the comment that, I priced my stuff out at a reasonable price. And so if I'm going to put it on sale for any reason, I can't lower the price very much because I began with a good price. I can barely put any kind of a discount on my tools because I priced them properly to begin with. So he didn't have that ability to manipulate price in order to make a quick buck selling one of his tools. But it's something that we see constantly, and we see it everywhere, right? Playing the price game, but it can come at a tremendous cost. It can cause all kinds of problems for a company by manipulating the price. They keep dropping the price. You walk into any store and you'll see a shirt on sale, 75% off or whatever it is. You don't want to buy anything at full price after that. It's just what happens. And it's kind of almost like an addiction, that dropping the price. Well, it's just what happened. But price always costs something. The question always is going to be, how much are you willing to pay for the money that you make? So price is a big manipulation, Judy, and it works. Quite frankly, it works.
It really does. And I know there's a huge retailer that actually sell a product. They put something on sale for less than they buy it for. Can you imagine that? They call it a loss leader, thinking that if you can get someone into the store and buy that specific snazzy thing, that they will shop around the store and make up for that loss.
Yeah, it reminds me of the two brothers who bought a truckload of watermelons for $1 each. They went to the market and they sold all their watermelons for $1 each, and they sold them all right away. And the one brother said to the other one, "You know what this means, don't you?" And his brother said, "Yep, we need to get a bigger truck." Dumb as a rock. Price. Yep, it's a great manipulator. What about promotions, Judy?
And then promotions. There's cash back. There's the free toy in the box. There's if you're a new customer, that whole cable thing. Oh, if you become our customer, then you get to have this special price for the next year, and then after the year, the price double. Well, what kind of loyalty does that ensure? Not much, because I know people that go from promotion to promotion just because that's how they buy. They buy on price. So they are looking for those specific promotions. One thing that I just became aware of, I didn't know that Synergy actually did a promotion this month. And that promotion is any new distributor gets a box of immune booster for half price. Now, that's not a promotion that is going to bring people into the business, but for Synergy, it's a promotion to have new people try a new product. Different type of manipulation.
Well, it is. It's just like getting free shipping if you have 150 CV auto ship. It makes you stop and think, well, yeah, otherwise it's going to cost me $13.50 to get my product here this month. It works.
Exactly. and a lot of retailers believe in breakage because they couldn't sustain their business with these promotions. But especially when it comes to getting the promotion through having to fill out a form or send in a receipt or anything like that, they believe that there's going to be breakage, which means that many of the people will not take advantage of promotion, and thereby they can afford to continue it because they're not really giving it. Interesting.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We're getting some background noise too, you guys. I don't know if somebody's got we probably need to make sure everybody's phones are muted. But another really important manipulation is fear. Seriously, when fear is employed, facts are incidental. And I've never seen so much fear mongering as I've seen on the news here. I really pretty much quit watching the news because it's driving me nuts. But fear works. It's if you go into a bank and if you've got a banana in your pocket and you point that so it looks like a gun, you'll get charged with armed robbery if you get caught, even though it's just a banana, right? It doesn't matter. It's still fear mongering. That's what it is, and it works. It's probably fear, real or perceived, as arguably the most powerful manipulation of all. It just works, and you stop and think about all of the fear that's being employed around you now. This is how terrorism works. It's not the statistical probability that one could get hurt by a terrorist, but it's a fear that it might happen that cripples the population. It's just that fear that it could happen. It's a tremendous form of manipulation. You kind of hate it, don't you? But it's very, very real. If anyone has ever sold you anything with a warning to fear the consequences, if you don't buy my product, that kind of a thing, They're using a proverbial gun to your head to help you to see the value of choosing them over their competitor. Might just be a banana, but it works, right?
Yeah, scary, right?
It's scary. It's what we see every day now on the news. Someone trying to make you fearful if you vote for this guy or you vote for that guy. Drives me nuts.
And it's not just on television, it's with everyday conversations that I know that I'm having with people. It's, it's more than fearful. It's more than fearful.
Yeah. It's terrorism.
And then we talk about aspirations. And I think, when it looks like aspiration as a manipulation, that's how network marketing got a bad name. Because there's still things on the internet that says, if you want to be rich in 6 weeks, I can show you how. Join our company. We have the best results for getting rich than any other network marketing company in the world. Those aspirations, turn people's dreams into a temporary reality, seeing the future as it could be, but not taking in effect that there is work involved in the process. It's like, lose 20 pounds in a week, right? How many times have you seen the before and afters of the diets that, these people become absolutely gorgeous in as little as 6 weeks? And, no matter what the regimen that you choose, it really depends on the work you do, the discipline you have, and what is behind that aspiration. But when we are looking at the retail industry as manipulating, that's how they are manipulating, giving you the results and not letting you know about the work.
Yeah, we see it every day. And then there's peer pressure, Judy. I mean, another form of manipulation, peer pressure, and peer pressure works. It's like 4 out of 5 dentists use Trident chewing gum, it just goes on and on. Somehow we feel like the majority or the experts might know more than we do, and so we're kind of pressured. It's not because the majority of them are right, but it's that we fear that we might be wrong. That's kind of what it boils down to, or celebrity endorsements of things, that sort of a thing. I read, he talks a lot about, Tiger Wood and all this different stuff, but something that he said that I thought was interesting. He said, have you ever had a sales rep try to sell you some office solution by telling you that 70% of your competitors are using their service, so why aren't you? Now, I've seen this happen before from insurance people. But what if 70% of your competitors are idiots? I love that. What? Just because if your friends are going to go jump off a cliff, are you going to go follow them and jump off the cliff too? It's just the practice is designed to do one thing and one thing only. And that's to pressure you to buy something. Peer pressure is really strong, Judy. It just is. And we all know that. Celebrity endorsements, we all know. Anyway, moving along.
Yes, to innovation. And innovation is an amazing thing when something is brand new. It's great. It's something that we want to look at. It's like the newest shiny object. And, for those that have ADD, that's what it is. It's, oh my gosh, I see something over here. I got to do this. I see something over here. I have to try that because this is new. And if it's new, it must be better. And that's not always the truth. Colgate did something. They added fluoride to their toothpaste. That was the latest shiny object. And so everyone started buying Colgate because, oh my gosh, they had fluoride in their toothpaste. So what happened? Everyone else put fluoride in their toothpaste. And so now, okay, Colgate needed another shiny object. And so, they added whitening and sparkling and all this other stuff. And now they have over 32 kinds of toothpastes. Can you imagine having 32 brands of Pro-Arginine Plus on your shelf?
It's unbelievable, Judy. You go to the Walmart and stand there looking at the toothpaste, and you have to stand there for a long time before you can read through enough labels to figure out which one you want, right?
Yeah. Yeah, unless you're like me that goes over to Nature's Sunshine and just buys Nature's Sunshine toothpaste.
There you go. Yeah. I used to use Melaleuca toothpaste. It was cinnamony. I liked it. But the bottom line is that manipulations work. They do. We all know that they do, but they don't lead to loyalty. And I think that's where we're going with this in terms of leadership. Manipulations work, but they can't get you loyalty. That just doesn't happen. In politics, they can get somebody elected, but they don't create a foundation of leadership. That's just not how it works. With leadership, it requires people to stick with you through thick and thin. Leadership is kind of that ability to rally people, not just for one single event, but for years, really. In business, it means that customers will continue to support your company even when you slip up, even when you make a mistake. There's a difference between being manipulated into something and having true loyalty to a company. It's a huge difference. It's significant. And it's, for me, for example, it's what's kept me all these years involved with Synergy Worldwide. I feel a real strength, a real strong tie to Synergy Worldwide and a loyalty to their products. I'm so confident in the quality assurance of Synergy products, the efficacy. We don't guess, we test, we guarantee. The outcome-based research it's done at the Hughes Research and Innovation Labs, for me, has created this enormous loyalty. And so even if I find another product that's a little less expensive, I don't even look at it. I don't even think about it. I don't even give it a second guess. My loyalty after 10 years with Synergy Worldwide is with Synergy Worldwide and Nature's Sunshine. And that's the difference between, somebody can try to sell me an arginine product, nitric oxide therapy for less money, and I'm not going there. David Munoz always says the most expensive product you can buy is the one that doesn't work, right, David? And that's how it is. And I'm so confident and so loyal to the company that I'm involved with, that we're involved with, I don't even look at other products. Judy?
Yeah, that is so true, Bob, because you're right. Repeat business is when people buy from you over and over again. And loyalty is one step beyond that, because loyalty is when people will turn down a better deal and continue purchasing from you, even though they can get a better price sometime somewhere else, but you are giving them something that they cannot buy.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And like I said a minute ago, and it's written right here in his book, loyal customers often don't even bother to research the competition or entertain other options. And that's what I was saying a moment ago. I don't even look other places for product. I know where I want to go. I know what I want to get, and it's with Synergy Worldwide. And I think that's really a tribute to the company that we're involved with. You can, if you want to find fault with Synergy, you can find fault with Synergy. Of course you can. That's how life is, right? But the bottom line is that the products work, and boy, it sure brings a great comfort to me. It really does.
Yes, and statistics show that manipulation leads to 2 transactions. And loyalty lasts for time after time after time. Such a difference.
Yeah. Yep. And just because it works doesn't make it right. Isn't that right? Oh, brother.
That's so true. And it's really become the norm, right? I mean, it's all over. It's all over. And sometimes I feel like when I am in the world, not of the world, but in the world, that my entire day is a series of manipulation. And whether I'm going to the grocery store or have the TV on, or even talk to friends in the neighborhood, I am feeling manipulated.
Well, and the bottom line, I think, when you stop and think about it, is that companies, organizations, systems, whatever, become weaker and weaker the more they manipulate the public. It's just how it works. It's a bit ironic because we all tend to do that same thing, to manipulate a little bit. But you look at the 2008, the economic crisis. I was working at the time in '08. I did research for a title insurance company. I did property research and history and all of those kinds of things. And we were concerned and had been concerned for some long time there at the title company about people buying things that they couldn't afford. You could get any kind of a loan you wanted. It was ridiculous. And everybody was like, they were just buying too much house. And in '08, that whole subprime mortgage industry completely collapsed. And it collapsed because it wasn't based on sound fact or truth. It was a manipulation. And it rocked our country. It rocked everybody. Everybody felt that in '08. I felt it. I'd saved for years and put money into mutual funds and was trying to create a retirement fund for myself, because all through the years I'd either worked for myself or I didn't work for one company all that time. So I didn't have a pension. And I watched those mutual funds dropped. My retirement fund dropped 60% between '08 and '09. It was gut wrenching, and it happened quite simply because the subprime market collapsed, the banks collapsed, the stock market collapsed, because it was all based on untruth, if you will. Judy, it was just wrong. Would you?
But and then there's the other side of it, where we look at 9/11 and what happened during 9/11. It brought the country together. And in fact, people started sending checks to Southwest Airlines, just trying to thank them for what they did, what they have done with their customers. That loyalty, not that $1,000 check made a difference to Southwest Airlines, but the loyalty that they received because of it, that made a difference.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really is. But anyway, we've had a lot of information here today with Simon Sinek, and we haven't really got into start with why. But you get the drift, I think, everybody. Just because it works doesn't make it right. We're manipulated into doing the things that we do, and it's not predicated on the bottom line. We can figure out how to do things. We can figure out what to do. But when we base our business, our personal lives on why are we doing this? What is the bottom line for us here? It changes things, and it changes things in a profound way. And so, Judy, that's really what I had to share this morning.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. And you're so right. Manipulation is the norm today, but there is an alternative. And next time we are going to talk about that alternative and a different way of being and doing because of your way of being. Okay.
My point was, when you reach the heading of fear, fear is now really 360. The COVID and the mask situation. In other words, we've got now fear on both sides. The fear of wearing the mask and the...
We lost Donald. Sorry, Donald.
Yeah, Donald, you have to...
Sorry, I had someone... I think I got muted.
Yeah, you did. Go ahead.
Yeah. The point I was making is fear is on both sides of wearing the mask and not wearing the mask as it relates to COVID. And, you know, the COVID denial. Some people are thinking that there's no real COVID, and others saying, how can you not recognize that there's COVID? So yeah, we're in that spin, or people are in that spin of fear. Excuse me.
That's true. And it does manipulate the masses. It just does. We have to make decisions, and we're all affected by that, for sure. Well, we're going to talk about an alternative perspective coming up next month, and Dan has the entire month of October all lined out for us, with going clear into November. Dave Munoz is going to be hosting a webinar first part of November as well. So Judy and I will be back on October 31st with our leadership webinar. We're going to talk about some alternative perspective in our leadership development. So it's good stuff, and we're glad to be able to be a part of this. So Judy, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All right, everybody.
Everyone have a great week. We'll see you next Saturday. And don't forget to join Monday morning call hosted by Bob Wischmeier.
Yeah, we've got Dan Higginson on Monday morning. Dan's going to share a thought or two with us. So jump on with us Monday morning at, it'll be 7:30 Mountain Time, 6:30 for me. But we'll have Dan Higginson, so it'll be kind of fun to hear from him. So join us on Monday. Thanks, everybody.